So, thank you everybody for coming along. Today, what I would like to do is cover maybe one or two modifiers in Blender. There's definitely one which I know some people will be able to make use of and is really fun to play with as much as anything else. And I also wanted to cover the particle system in Unity as well. Two totally different things, but they're both fun. You can have endless fun just tweaking the settings and seeing what you can do. So we'll go into the basics of both of these, and depending on how we get on for time, I'll cover more modifiers as well in Blender. But there was one particular one, as I say, which is the simple deform modifier. And I'll show you basically what it does. I've just got a standard default opening scene when I've loaded up Blender with the default cube, and we'll use that. What I'm going to do, I'll just make this a bit bigger to start with, and I'll move it up so that it's sitting on the floor and my origin point is at the bottom there. I'm going to scale it on the Y and make it a bit thinner, so we've kind of got a wall. And I'll just apply the transforms there. And then a couple of things we can do. We're going to add an array modifier first of all. So, and just along the X, I'm quite happy with it going along the X, and we'll have a count of maybe 5 iterations of this wall. Because it's just a modifier, it hasn't permanently changed the mesh, so you've only got one mesh and you can still edit it as normal. Yeah, we've got an array of them all going along. Once I apply that, we've got a solid mesh. So we're not going to do that. The next thing we're going to add is simple deform. And simple deform does a few different things. It kind of bends and stretches and twists your mesh. You can see the twist going, and it says it's on the x-axis there. We can change the angle. We can even tell it if we can choose another object if we want it to twist around an object origin. But we're not going to do that. We're going to use bend. And we're going to bend it, at the moment it's trying to bend it along the X. We're going to bend it on the Z. And you can see we've got it going in a curve. And we can increase this angle all the way up to 360 degrees. And we've got a closed circle. And we can increase the number of iterations, so you can have as many walls as you want and your circle, which is quite nice. I'll just put it back to 5 for now. But the power of this comes when, first of all, you subdivide it in some way. So I could maybe make 20 cuts vertically, and suddenly you'll see that that really smooths the whole thing out. And we can do shade auto smooth. And as I say, we've got a nice circle.
Oh, smart.
Now, what we can also do, if I go into face mode, you can just edit this, as I say, on the fly, and it'll update your whole object as you go along. So I could, for instance, extrude that up a bit. And then on the other side, I can't see this very well, so I'm just going to turn off the simple deform for now. And select those, and then turn it back on again. And then I could extrude these, and you can see we're getting a kind of a roof thing with a hole in the top. I might want to take these ones, maybe do a checker deselect, so it just selects every other one and extrude those up, and we've kind of got battlements like a castle. What else could I do? I could do another couple of loop cuts on there, and then we'll just turn this off again momentarily, and I could select a few of these faces on both sides, make sure that they're matching. So I've left, not like that, Lisa. Have I still got these selected? Yes, I have. So I'll just deselect them, and I don't want that selected there. We'll select that, and that should be the same on both sides. Of course it's not. So we've got 4 blank ones at each end. That should be the same. So now I can use my favourite bridge edge loops, and we've got a window. And if I turn me deform back on, I've got how many iterations? 5 iterations, so there should be 5 windows. I could make that a bit bigger. Loads more windows. Yeah, there's lots you can do with this. And as I say, it's really useful for building circular buildings, or anything you wanted, really. As I say, I'm just literally playing around with this just to see what I can do. If I select those, I could try again. I could extrude those up. And we've got, you know, very, very quickly I've created something interesting. Not sure what it is, but yeah, it's very powerful, and that's just with the combination of array and simple deform. And when you're done, there's one thing that you'll notice as well, though, is here. Let's just see if I've got cavity turned on, so you might be able to see a bit better. There's a line going down here where your different iterations are meeting, and that is not, it just means that it's not joined. You've got separate meshes all together. So what we need to do, we can first of all just add merge on the array modifier, and that would normally merge it, but nothing's happening. And the reason is, we'll just turn both of those off. So I've just got me one mesh, is because we've got faces along here, and we need to get rid of all the faces that are meeting on the sides. Otherwise, it's going to be duplicating those faces. You'll have 2 faces occupying the same space, and it won't be able to join the vertices. So we'll delete those and then turn these back on. And now, if we hit merge on the array modifier, you'll see that line disappears. And the only one that's left is the first and last iteration. It never joins those together. So there's another useful modifier you can add, which is called weld, and that's got rid of that. All weld does is exactly the same as whenever you're editing something in edit mode. There's an option, if you select everything and choose M for merge, you can choose merge by distance, and any vertices that are occupying the same space, it will merge them together. When you're using modifiers, that's not possible, because this isn't yet a real mesh. It's just rendering another iteration of your original mesh. So by adding the weld modifier, you're forcing it to, when these are actually applied, to join these vertices. So it's got rid of that join as well. So yeah, there's something that's, not sure how useful that is, but there you go, it's something. So something else you could do, I'm just going to use the simple deform again, and I'm going to apply all the modifiers and bring it into Unity to start with. So we'll add a cube, And I want to make it, I don't want to make it absolutely massive, maybe 10 inches or something. I know I'm using inches again, I'm not very good like that. 10 inches, yeah, let's just say we'll turn it to meters, so we'll say 1/4 of a meter. Oh, come on, honestly. Okay, we'll start with that, and we'll select that and put the origin at the bottom so that I can now press Alt and G and it centers it sitting perfectly on the floor. And we'll apply all the transforms, and then let's just have a play. So if I take that face there, I'm going to move my cursor along on the X a bit, maybe a meter. Yeah, we'll start with a meter, and we'll rotate it on the Y-axis. I'm just using the spin tool here in edit mode, and then I've chosen Y, and it's still in face mode, so I can now either grab one of these and make it a smooth spin. Actually, I want this up by 1/4 of a meter as well, don't I? Because it's not doing it properly. So my cursor needs to be on the same level as that face. Let's give that another try. That's better. So you can either do a smooth spin like this, or I'm just going to merge all of those again because I could see I had a double line. Either a smooth spin, or you can hold down Control and it goes in kind of little clicks. I don't know exactly how many degrees that is per click, but yeah. And you can also, if you open up this little thing here, this is blocking it a bit, but you can see it's center X, Y, Z. You can actually change the number of steps, so you can reduce that down and make it a little bit more optimized, ready for VR. So I'm gonna leave that like that for now. Actually, we'll just, there we go. We'll move the cursor back to 1/2 a meter now, and I'll move my object origin to the cursor. Select everything. I'm now going to use another thing you can use in edit mode, which is symmetrize, mesh symmetrize. There we go, and we've got a nice arch. That looks interesting. We'll select these, and I'll just extrude these down a bit. Did I need to extrude them? Probably not. I'll just move them down a bit. There we go, and I'll put my object origin to the faces so I can do Alt and G and centre it again. And now we've got an interesting looking arch. We'll do Shade Auto Smooth again. Let's do the same thing again. So we'll add an array. We'll give it about 5 iterations on the X, and we'll add a simple deform again. We want it to bend on the Z by 360 degrees, and then we'll just increase this a little bit more. And that already we've got like the makings of a little bit of a temple kind of thing going on. So yeah, let's just hide that a sec again, and we'll get rid of these faces here. Put these back. Not sure if this is going to work because it's not. Oh yeah, it has. There we go. So that's merge. We can just add the weld modifier now. Weld. And there it is, all together in one thing. Now, I use something here which I think is called modifier tools. Rather than having to go through every modifier one at a time, I can just hit apply all. And that is a free add-on which comes with Blender. Let's just have a look. I think it's called modifier tools. Yeah, there it is, modifier tools. Definitely worth installing. It's just a case of ticking it in Blender because it's built in. If it's not, if you're using the new version 4 point whatever it is, 4.2 or whatever, it may not be built in as an add-on and you may have to find it in the extensions on the website. But all the original modifiers are still there. It's just made Blender a bit lighter because you now have to download the extensions and install them from the website rather than having to load everything in, whether you're going to use it or not, which in my opinion is way better. But yeah, now because I've got modifier tools enabled, I can literally hit apply all and that's all of the modifiers applied. And now this whole thing is one mesh. So what I'll do is I'll go into front view and I've just pressed 1 on me keyboard to go into vertex mode. I'll just select all of those in X-ray mode. And now I can just put me object origin right in the center. And then Alt and G and it's in the middle of my world again. So, and in case anybody doesn't know, anybody who uses spawn points in their worlds, if you don't want to use spawn points, which you don't have to, as long as you put wherever your spawn point is in your world, if you place that, move your world around so that your spawn point is at 0, 0, 0, that will work the same. It's a bit of a pain having to move your whole world, but to be honest, it's not that difficult. If you just create an empty and parent everything, make everything a child of that empty, and then you can move your empty around and your world isn't going to all go wonky. So yeah, that's basically what I do anyway. So we'll export this. I'm not going to do any textures or anything. I'm not going to do any UV unwrapping. I'm just going to export it as it is. So export. A quick way of exporting, which I much prefer than using these menus, is just F4 and then you get this menu up, E for export and F for FBX, and that's it. So F4 EF, and if you want to import an FBX, it's F4 IF. It's as easy as that. I love hotkeys. Hotkeys are cool. So we'll go into Banter projects. And have I got one of these set up already? I have, and I've just called it my project. So let's just find that. My project. Stick it in there. Selected objects. We'll call it temple because it sounds cool. And we'll go into Unity and there's our temple and we can drag it in and zoom in on it and there it is. So I'm just going to quickly add a plane so it's got a floor. This isn't, yeah, it is centered. Is the plane centered? Clearly not. Look at that. They don't even, when you bring in a plane, it's not even centered. Let's just reset it. There we go. Right, so I'll quickly add a couple of materials just so we're not blinded by the white. So we'll have a dark colour for the ground. Just like a dark grey will do, I guess. And we'll have a kind of browny beigey colour for the pillars, maybe. Arches, the arches, aren't they? have a think. These are browns are never easy to do, are they? Does anybody else have problems creating a nice brown colour? That's a bit grey. Yeah, we'll have it at that. There we go, kind of a sandstony kind of colour. Okay. I wonder if I should. You know what? I probably should have unwrapped this. Let's just do a very quick cubic unwrap, maybe. Ooh.
Thank you.
Goodness.
It happens.
Yeah.
It is raining outside.
Typical UK weather, isn't it? Or in it.
In it.
I mean, it's lovely in Edinburgh.
It's actually nice here, I have to admit. It is nice here. Okay, so I've just created a light map for that. Let's just do a very quick rendering, lighting, drag that over here. Just because I don't like that flat kind of unlit effect. It always bothers me. I will just make it GPU. 20 will do. And auto generate. Let that do its stuff. So let's have a look here and see if we can have a little play with the particle system. So I've just added particle system just with a little plus thing. You could also do it in here, I guess. Game object effects, particle system. I always either use the plus sign or I just right click here because I'm lazy and I don't like using menus. We'll reset that so it's in there. Actually, I don't want to reset the minus 90 rotation, so we'll just do that. There we go, it's in the centre. And this is the default thing. You just get these standard default particles which kind of float off in a cone shape up to the sky. First thing I'm going to do, let's see if we can create something that looks maybe like fireflies. So the first thing we want to do is stop the fireflies from flying away. So we'll change the speed here, start speed. Can everyone see that all right? I don't know how to make this bigger in Unity. It's easy in Blender. Does anybody know how to change the visual?
No idea.
No, I don't know. I'll just have to read them out.
Probably not the control plus or control minus, but
yeah, I know that works for web pages, but it doesn't seem to do much for Unity. Yeah, I'll just read them out. So down here we've got start speed. I'm just going to change it from 5 to 0. So they're spawning, but they're just kind of sticking to the ground. And you can see they're spawning and then disappearing, and this is because they've got a lifetime. They've got a start lifetime of 5 seconds, so after 5 seconds they vanish. I'll leave that as it is. I'm not too bothered about that. I don't need them to stay around forever. So let's see what else we can have a play with. Emission, we can change the number that we want to spawn. We'll leave it at 10 for now, but we'll probably turn that up in a little bit. Shape instead of cone. Actually, you know what? Let's just move the system up a bit so it's not in the ground. And instead of cone, we'll change it to sphere. And you can see now we've got, well, it is literally a sphere, and all these things are spawning inside of it. What else can I change? We'll leave that as it is. We'll maybe increase the radius a bit so you can see the particles a bit better. What else can we change? We can change colour over lifetime is useful. Colour over lifetime is nice because these top ones control the alpha and these bottom ones control the colour. So if we say at the beginning of its life, we want it to be, I don't know, maybe like red. We'll just leave it at red. And at the end of its life, we want it to be yellow. Let's change that to yellow. Then you should see, as the particles spawn, they're red and then they turn orange. And as they get older, and when they get really old and are about to die, they're bright yellow. So that's quite a nice thing to play around with. There's also this, you get a couple of presets, and this one here is really nice because the particles actually change colour, and it's, oh gosh, it makes me think of candy floss and unicorns and sprinkles on ice cream. But we'll leave it as it was to, in fact, will we? Let's just turn that alpha all the way up again. Yeah, we'll leave it as it was. Actually, I quite like that, you know, where they actually fade out and disappear as they die as well. We might just leave it at that, but I'll change the colour. I don't really like them being green. I'm pretty sure that fireflies are greeny colour. At least no, what do you call them? What do you call them that we get? I've seen them in the Mediterranean. They're not fireflies because they don't fly around, but you see them in the bushes, like in Greece and stuff, and I'm sure they're green, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to make them an orangey colour because, you know, we can do what we like. Orangey reddish. And then they go yellow and actually fade and disappear. So we've got that. What else can we do? We can do size over lifetime. So they actually get smaller or bigger as they age. So we'll use a graph, and I think we'll probably use that one. So they start big and get small, and it's a curve. So we'll use that, but we might want to reduce the size they are when they originally start. So we'll just bring that down a bit. That looks quite interesting. We'll go inside the temple thing now and have a look at them. The only thing is they're all staying in the same place, and I really want them to move around. So let's see what else we can use. We can use some noise. So if we tick noise, you can see they're flying around now, and they're flying outside of the sphere. And with this, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You have to play with these to see what they do. But normally, I would look at this and think, well, they're flying too quickly. I want to reduce the speed, but there isn't a speed setting. So what you have to do is reduce the strength, adjust the strength and the frequency, basically. So if we reduce the strength down to maybe 0.2-ish, they're moving a lot slower. Let's try typing in 0.1. That's really, really slow, but they're not moving enough. I want them to move slowly, but have more range in their movement. So then we would increase the frequency. And they should be moving around a bit more, and we can increase the size of the sphere still. Make that a bit bigger. I still think I want that a bit faster. That's not enough. Let's try 0.2. 0.3. There we go. Got them flying around a little bit more gently. That looks all right. And maybe the emission we can increase. We could have more particles being spawned. Make that 20, so we've got double the amount. So just by adjusting a few settings, we've got them to change colour over lifetime. I'm still not happy about that alpha. Let's make them a bit less transparent. Maybe something like that. So they fade a bit before they disappear. Still want that to be a different colour because it's just not enough for me. Maybe make that a bit more reddish. Or a bit more greenish. Maybe something like that. It could be the fact that when they get really, really small, they're going yellow, turning yellow. So maybe I should don't want to move that up, do I? Because that means if I move that up, it means they're going to get smaller and then bigger again. And we don't want that. Maybe I'll just increase that a wee bit more. So the
Is
start
this
of...
how you do the particles in Crystal Lake that you see by the tanks?
Yes.
Fireflies in Crystal Lake?
Yes, that will be how they're done, definitely. And as I say, you literally just play around with them until you get the look you want. You don't have to use these default particles either. You can use your own meshes. You might have little meshes, little cubes or spheres, or you might have little simple flies you've made, or images. You can change this to an image. Lots of things you can do with it, but to be honest, I find it the default particle, because it's got lovely soft edges. They're useful for so many things. I use them for lots of stuff. If I play that and then just go back to scene mode, we can move around and see it in action. And you know, I think that looks quite nice. This
It's how I made the lightning in the distracted globe.
yeah,
Just using the particles, just leave them with a trail.
yeah, they're great. I've done lightning before. I did that in the Christmas fill, but it wasn't very performant because I had way too much going on. I had like a full firework display, and it was causing a frame rate drop. So I ended up just doing them in Blender's particle system, creating a video of a display, and then I just did what they did in Crystal Lake with the additive particle shader. So yeah, you can kind of tell it's a video, but at least you get a firework display, and it is quite performant. But for the occasional thing, if you just have the odd explosion, it's brilliant. I just went over the top and I couldn't handle it. Now this hasn't baked, and the reason I've realised is because my material is in unlit, and I should have changed it to mobile particles. No, it's not particles at all. Mobile unlit, except this wants an image. So I'm just going to leave it without an image as the standard white, and at least you can see it does actually have some depth to it now. We'll do the same for that. Why not? Is it working? No, it's not. I wonder why that's now greyed out. Anybody any ideas why that would be greyed out? That is bizarre. I wonder if it's because I've changed this material and it wants an image. That could be, you know.
Maybe.
Could be. Let me just...
Throw an image on it.
Yeah. We'll just have a quick look in here and see what I've got. There we go. We'll just stick that on it. Arches. It's still greyed out. Oh, you know why? Because I'm still in play mode. Honestly, Mandy, say you plonker. Eee, lordy. Man. So, that does mean, of course, that me particles won't have saved the settings that I changed. But that doesn't matter. I'll just... Oh, it has. It has, you know. Super duper.
That's strange.
Yeah.
They don't usually.
No, they don't usually, but clearly particles are something different. So we still haven't got shadows on this floor, though. At least I don't see any. It's probably because it's grey and it's the same colour as the shadows. There is a light map. And it's got shadows there. Soft shadows. Important. How strange. How strange indeed. We'll change this to white. Ah, Same thing again. Same thing again. I am such a bloody numpty. There we go.
Problem fixed.
Man. Problem fixed, yeah. But yeah, in the space of, and I've been going quite slowly, in the space of what, 40 minutes, we've got a little temple kind of thing and some strange particles. Now imagine what you can do with something like this. A few buildings or a few trees in the background, couple of mountains maybe, a clearing, and you've got this weird mystical stuff going on. You could give this some awesome materials, some nice textures, bit of grass on the floor or rocks. I think that could be quite a atmospheric world, really. So we'll leave that there for now. We've created something. I think that's awesome. You can think what you like. Simple as it is, it's the start of something something cool. It's playing with stuff like this, you know, playing with stuff like this gives me ideas for worlds, and it can be simple things like this that then makes me go, oh, now then. And I get this whole scene in my brain of what I want to create. So, anyway, we'll go back to Blender. Let's have a look at what other modifiers we've got that we can play around with. I've already gone over the lattice in a previous thing. I don't think I've gone over shrink wrap, have I? And that's quite cool. I don't think I've gone over skin much, or screw, or there's loads that I could cover. This build thing's quite cool, but I don't think it would really be an awful lot of use in VR. With build, you basically, well, if I play it, you'll see what happens. It just builds your mesh from start to finish over the space of 100 frames. I could change this to maybe, well, there's 250 there, so I'll change it to 250 frames. It would be cool, I suppose, to do a video of it, and you could put that in somewhere. Not sure how useful it would be. It could be cool for text. If you want text to build on a sign or something, and then you do like an animated, like a sprite sheet or a video, it saves you actually having to do it all yourself.
Lisa?
Sorry, what?
Could you animate that in Unity? It's kind of cool idea that, like, when you spawn into a world and the world just builds up for you.
Not
like
really.
That could work really well for my bikes, if that worked. Save me a good bit of hassle.
Yeah, you couldn't do it like this in Unity. You could do it with Amplify Shader Editor. Definitely you could. In fact, there are tutorials on YouTube showing you how to dissolve and build things just with the shader. So that's definitely worth looking at. That'll work in Unity.
Yes, brilliant idea. Thank you.
Because what you could do as well is you could actually use an either an animation or, you know, visual scripting or whatever. You could have it start with the build shader, and then you could swap it out for a permanent fixed shader, so it's not constantly looping and building your bike kind of thing. That would work, definitely, because you could have the shader work over a certain length of time, and then with visual scripting you could tell it after a certain length of time that it then just swaps to a different permanent, like a shader where that's not animated, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's given me, I've never done it before, but I'm working out in my own head how I would do it, and I think that would probably be a good approach. Worth trying though. I'd be interested to know, Pony, if you do have a go at doing that, because I'd love to see it in action.
I was thinking that would be a good lesson.
Well, we can do it. I'm happy to do in Amplify. We'll go over doing the shader to build your object to start with, definitely, and then see how we get on with future lessons. Maybe see if we can do something. I'm rubbish at visual scripting. I would need help to get that bit working.
Hands up who's rubbish at visual scripting.
The thing is, though, if we put all
The
our
rest of them are in
heads
2D.
together, if we put all our heads together, I bet we could achieve something pretty brilliant, to be honest. So, yeah,
Well, that's worked so
I
far.
think that would be a cool thing to try, definitely. So other modifiers, because I know we've got 15 minutes left, and I would like to cover some other stuff, and I'm trying to pick things which I think people could actually use. I use skin quite a lot, which in fact, you know what? Let's just delete this, because there's a couple of things that you can do, either with the skin modifier or by converting a mesh to a curve and then using the curve settings. So let's just create something. We'll start off with a plane, because all I'm going to do is select one of the vertices, invert the selection and delete all of them. So I've just got one vertex, and I'm going to set the origin to it and Control and G. So my vertex is in the middle. What we can do in edit mode is extrude it, so you get these lines. I don't know if I've gone over this before, but it's quite a nice way of doing simple trees. See, there's something else I wanted to cover as well, as an external program for making trees, which is pretty cool. We'll do that another time.
Is it Treat?
It is, yes. I love it. It's marvellous. So we've got a kind of tree shape, and I've literally done it just by very quickly extruding vertices, so we get these lines. We can add a skin modifier, and it looks pretty crap at the moment, but if we select everything with Control and A, oh God, that wasn't right. That wasn't right. A to select everything, and then Control and A. Control and A is a bit like scale, but it only works with the skin modifier, and it's in it works per vertex. So I've scaled that down so that the skin's not quite so big. If I go into that mode so I can see them, I don't know what you call this. It's not X-ray. Oh, it is X-ray. What's that then? Wireframe. Right, so we're in X-ray mode. What I could do is select everything except these ones, Control and A, and scale those down a bit. And then where branches are kind of tapering. And then I could deselect that one, Control and A, scale down a bit. Deselect these, so I've just got the ends of the twigs now. Control and A, scale them right down, and we've kind of got a tree. We can either shade smooth, which doesn't seem to want to do much because I've got cavity turned on probably. Shade smooth. Am I still in edit mode? No, I'm not. It's because I need to apply it. Shade smooth. There we go. Or what we can also do is add a subdivision surface to give it a bit more geometry, and that'll smooth things out. So it's an interesting way of working. That's the skin modifier, but another pretty cool thing you can do is we'll do the same thing and just bring in a plane. We're going to use one of the vertices, so we'll delete all of the others. Put it in the center. I don't know why I put it in the center, that's just habit. Let's go into edit mode and we'll extrude it. I'm just holding Control so that it snaps to like increments. Just makes it a little bit easier to work with. And extrude it that way and extrude it that way. If I select these two and do Control Shift and B to bevel vertices, I can bevel them and add a bit of geometry by using the scroll wheel on my mouse. And then what I could do is I could convert that to a curve, and under the curve settings, under geometry, is it geometry I want? Yeah. Not sure if it's bevel I need. Yeah, under bevel, we can literally just increase that and we've got a pipe, which is quite a nice thing to do. And you can convert that back to a mesh again. Let's just reduce the resolution a bit. So, you know, optimizing as much as possible, and shade smooth, and then I can convert that back to a mesh. And when I go into edit mode, we've actually got proper geometry. So we've just created a pipe. Now imagine how easy that would be if you're just working with vertices and you want a pipe that kind of goes up a wall and along, and you might want a connection in your pipe. So we could add a loop cut like that, and we could bevel it out a little bit like that, and we could select the whole ring, and with Alt and E we can choose extrude faces along normals, drag that out a bit, and now we've got a connector on our pipe. Looks a bit crappy, so what I would probably do is say shade auto smooth, go up to normals and just turn this all the way up to 180, and then these edges, I could select that edge loop and that edge loop and that one and that one, and let's do the ends as well so we don't get weird shading on the ends. And we can go to F3 to search sharp, and we want to mark sharp. And if we come out of there, those edges are sharp, but we've still got a nice smooth pipe, and we're actually telling it exactly which bits we want sharp edges and which bits need to be smoothed out. So we've actually got a connector. We could model a little tap that goes on there, a little valve or something, and yeah. So that's a nice thing to do, and it's ever so easy to do it. If you had a wall, for instance, how we're doing for time, 7 minutes. If we had a wall, let's just get rid of a pipe, delete that, and we'll add in, actually, mesh under, do I have extra objects? I might not have installed extra objects. Nah. In preferences, there should be, oh, I have got extra objects for both meshes and curves. I must just be blind, I can't see it. Mesh, monkey, generate. There we go, single vert. You can just literally add a single vertex. After all of that, you really can. And yeah, you can do it. That saves you having to like collapse a plane basically. So what I can do is turn that to face project, and then I could extrude this. Why isn't it extruding? Come on. You know what? Forget about single vert because it's bollocks. Let's add. We'll just duplicate this plane. I don't know why that wasn't working. We'll delete those vertices. So now, I can what I can do is extrude that out. Maybe not quite that far. And then up on the Z. No. Up on the Z. Come on.
Oh, thank you.
Why? Oh, I know why. Try again. Up on the Z. And then because I've got this turned on for face project, when I extrude this out again along the Y, if I hold down control and I hover over this face, it will actually snap directly to that face. And then I can select these two, Control Shift and B, bevel them, use my mouse wheel, convert to curve, and just increase that till I've got a reasonable pipe. So yeah, it's a nice way, as I say, of doing pipes, and I think that's quite a useful thing. We'll shade smooth that as well. You could make handles for doors or cupboards or anything really with it. Yeah, what other modifiers have we got that we haven't tried? Triangulate's kind of obvious. If I turn this to convert it back to a mesh and go to edge mode, so you're just looking at the edges. If we add triangulate, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's converted every quad into a triangle by drawing a line through it. That may be useful to you, it may not. To be honest, it doesn't really make much difference whether you use triangulate or not before you export. Unity always uses triangulated meshes. It never uses quads. But if you export an asset that's made entirely of quads, it will triangulate it anyway, so you don't actually need to do it. I do it because I don't know why I do. I've just got this thing where I always feel I need to, but you really don't need to. Wireframe. I'm sure you're familiar with wireframe, but you can do some cool things with that as well. Just get rid of that. Wireframe does, again, exactly what it says on the box. It turns all your lines into geometry. And you can even have it to untick replace original. It'll keep the original. I'm just going to turn off shade smooth because it looks horrible. Come on. Shade flat. There we go. You can see it a little bit better now. That's quite useful as well. Even will just even out the joints so you don't get any differences, any tapering or differences in widths. You can see this is narrower than this, so just turn on even. Replace original, we'll tick that again, so now the original shape's gone and we've literally just got this. If we apply it, come on, if we apply it, you can see we've now got proper geometry that we can play with. So that's a nice one. Lots and lots of modifiers to play with. I recommend having a play with these because they are awesome. Screw is a great one. The only trouble with screw is to make it look good, you need really dense geometry. So you may or may not find it useful. Probably good for making things like garland ribbons, like Christmas ribbons that kind of are stretched out and spiral down a little bit. But yeah, let's just scale that on the X by a quarter, maybe. Give it a bit of a loop cut. I honestly don't know what I'm doing here. Just see what screw does. I have used it before, but not much. So Y, X, X maybe? Iterations? No. There we
time.
go. So you can kind of see what it does anyway. Have a play around with it because it is pretty cool. Iterations means literally that you can just increase it just like an array. So we've gone around 360 degrees. We could reduce that and stretch it out a bit. But yeah, something else you can play around with. As I say though, you do need a lot of geometry to make it look good, which sucks. But worth playing with. Basically, that's all I wanted to go over. I wanted to just show the power of modifiers. And please, please, please make use of them. Have a look on YouTube. There are so much stuff on YouTube showing you how to combine different modifiers, for instance, to get awesome effects. I think maybe one week as well I'll show you how I make a realistic looking chain just using modifiers. Things like that. Yeah. Gotta get excited. You can tell. I'm all excited now because we're talking about modifiers. But yes. I think next week, how does anybody feel? I don't want to just dictate what we're doing. I would much rather do what people are actually interested in seeing. Next week, shall we do the shader for Amplify? Like the build and dissolve shader.
Please.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
In future.
Amplify in general.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we'll do
We've
that
all got
next
it
week.
now.
We'll
We're just
spend a little
terrible
bit of
with it.
time on Amplify, a bit more time on that. And then in the future, I know we haven't done anything with the house for a little while. I mean, if anybody's still interested in it, I'm happy to pick that up. But I just thought, you know, we needed a bit of a break because all it's been is house week after week after week, hasn't it? And I think people were I was getting sick of it, so I'm sure you lot probably were. But I'm happy to pick that up again if that's what you're interested in.
Yeah.
Bart did suggest as well that maybe it would be a good idea for me to just finish it off in my own time and upload it, and then at least you can go in and have a look and see what we've done. But it's not really showing how I would do things like roofs and stuff like that. I would like to cover that kind of thing. So maybe I'll get it mostly finished and then do the stuff that I haven't covered with you before. But yeah, if you've got any suggestions what you'd like to see, please let me know. Just grab me in here or send me a Discord message or whatever you want. Stick it in the general and just tag me, whatever you like. I don't mind. But I would like to, as I say, I would like to cover the stuff that you're genuinely interested in and not just, you know, make you sit through stuff and think, didn't think we'd be doing this week. But thank you anyway, everybody, for coming.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you,
And I
Lisa.
hope to see you all next week
Thank you.
for
Thank you,
Amplify
Lisa.
stuff. Yay!
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of
Thank you,
people who would
Lisa.
like to know more about Amplify. I just got Amplify and Amplify Real Time. I know some people of the advanced user has a little bit issues with some things not fully working with Amplify. Mystics is one of them. And I am wondering a little bit about how the real-time preview is working. If you have that and can explain that in short detail.
Right, okay. I'll do my best. Yeah. I'm no expert myself, but I'm
Yay.
happy to share what I know. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I appreciate
Okie
it.
dokie. See you all next week then. I shall end the recording. Thank you, everyone.